Howdy! Today we are going to do Word Chapter 4, Collaboration and Research, Producing Professional Papers and Communicating. So the first thing that we're going to do is look at selecting a writing style and creating a source. And for that, we're going to go to References. Now, step one of this is going to be really important. You want to make sure that you have the correct style selected for the paper that you are writing. In this case, APA is selected, and that is just fine. So our first task here is going to be that we are going to convert this hyperlink into an actual reference. Now, the first thing I want to do is I'm going to copy this hyperlink, Control-C, and I'm going to leave it selected, because if I leave it selected, it's going to insert the newly created reference right over that hyperlink. So now I'm going to go to Insert Citation, add a new source. My new source type is going to be a website. You're going to have to scroll down to find website. And then it's going to have a space here for URL, and I'm going to do Control-V for the URL for that. And then I'm going to put the name of the web page is IRS, Preparing for Retirement. And the name of the website is irs.gov. This is not correct. I'm making this stuff up as I'm going along. 2016. We'll say that it's in month 5, day 2. And I'm going to hit OK. And look, now it replaced it because I had already highlighted it. And as I've told you before, you do not have to backspace over it or anything. When you highlight it and you select something else or you type, it automatically types over it. Now I'm going to show you how to create one from scratch. So let's just say that my reference actually needs to be at the end of this paragraph. And I'm going to pull up this, and I found that Retirement Planning by Morgan Stanley is actually a pretty good website. So I'm going to copy the URL. So I highlight it. When I click once in a URL, it automatically highlights, and I'm going to do Control-C. And then I'm going to minimize this, and my cursor is here where I want it. Insert Citation, add a new source. I'm going to go ahead and put that URL down there. And then I'm going to look at this again, and I'm going to say, oh, the name of this is Wealth Management, and it's by Morgan Stanley. So the name of the web page is Wealth Management, Morgan Stanley, 2017 1208, and OK. Actually, that should have been in between the period and the paragraph. So I'm going to go delete, and I'm going to put my cursor at the end of it, and I'm going to put a period there because we can fix anything. Or I could do Control-Z and do it all over again, but I don't really want to do that. Now we're going to go ahead and put a bibliography. And for that, our little control keys to move around this document are wonderful. I'm going to do Control-End, and it takes me to the last page. Control-Enter puts in a page break, which you can see right there. Now I'm going to go here on Insert, and I want to insert my bibliography. I'm going to choose the style. I want Works Cited. And there we go. I mean, you can't get any easier than this. And you are going to be doing research papers. Now, if I want this, though, to be double-spaced, I'm going to highlight it all. And I'm going to go to the Home tab and Paragraph, and I'm going to change that to double. And I didn't want any spacing before or after, and it's already that way. Now it's double-spaced. And if I wanted to change the font on it, I could do it right here. And there we go. Now, pay attention to this. because if you create this and then you go back and you work on the paper some more, if you hit update citations, it will add in any that you added in since then. All of these features have that update on it so that you can add and continue to edit your paper, and you can go back and update. So the next feature that we're going to talk about is going to be footnotes or endnotes. And the only difference between a footnote and an endnote is where it's found. So I am going to put a footnote in right here. And so I go back to references and I go to insert footnote. And it puts my cursor down here, and you really can't see real well, but there's a little one there. And I'm going to type, this is my footnote. Now, if the instructions should tell you, and they will, of course, because that's why I'm telling you, to change that, I go in here, and so you actually should be able to be right there on your little footnote, and you should be able to right click, and it should allow you to do footnote options. But if it doesn't show up, which it's not for me right now, I can go here and I can pop this out. And here is where I would change the format of my footnotes if I wish to. I could also change the numbering. I could start at, so you wouldn't have to start at 1. You could start at 27 if you wanted to, or a lot of things. So there you go. And our numbering is continuous, or it restarts at each section, restarts each page. You have many options, and that's one of the things for you to continue to remember, that there are a lot of options if you explore these boxes. So I'm going to hit apply, and I've changed it, and notice that it now says that it's a B. And now we're going to look at comments. Comments are a great feature for collaborating with someone else on a paper. They can come in and they can put a comment on it. So if you send this to your English teacher, she may go ahead and put comments in to let you know things that you need to change. Now I'm going to zoom out a little bit more so you can see all of that this is listed as heading 2, but it should be heading 1. Please change this heading to heading 1 style. How easy is that? On the home tab is where those are, and we want this to be heading 1, not heading 2. And again, I did not have to select the whole thing. All I had to do is have my cursor, because that is a paragraph format. It automatically applies it to the entire paragraph, and while you may not think of that as a paragraph, by definition in Word it is, because it is followed by the paragraph symbol. And how do we get the paragraph symbol in there? Hit the Enter key. That's what creates that. Now let's look at the other ones. You need to insert a caption for this and the next table. Okay, and I wanted the captions on this. Insert caption. Caption, table 1. And pay attention, I want it above the selected item. Okay, so there it is. And if I wanted it centered, I could click center here, or I could have gone to my style box and I could have modified my style by clicking modify and by selecting center. And now the beauty of that is that if I did it to just 1, it wouldn't change the subsequent ones I did. If I change the style, everyone will be put in centered. So now, we did insert that caption. I'm not worrying about the next one. And this says, please change all the headings formatted with heading 3 to a heading 2 style. This one is heading 3. We can see that right there. I'm changing it to heading 2. Go down to the next one. It's also heading 3. Change it to heading 2. Now I'm going to leave the rest of them because I'm going to be demonstrating to you what that does for you. This says make sure that the whole table is on the same page. That is quite easy. Now my cursor is right there at the very beginning of the table, and I hit Control Enter, which puts in a page break, and it forces it to the top of the next page. So there we go. Now, one of the other things that you need to be looking at in review is that simple markup, all markup, no markup. Now, if we want to accept or reject or stop tracking, so we click here and we go accept all changes and stop tracking, which is one of the instructions on this exercise. So this exercise has you living in the Review tab and in the References tab so that you can learn both of these. So we'll go back to Mailings. So now let's go ahead and see one of the results of designating all of our headings rather than just making them visually different. We've actually designated them as heading 1, heading 2, heading 3. So now we want to put in a table of contents, and we want it between the cover page and the first page of the document. So I want to position my cursor at the very beginning of the first page, and I'm going to do Control Enter, and then I'm going to put my cursor in front of that page break, and then I'm going to go to References, Table of Contents, and I choose a style, and I'm going to choose this style, Automatic Table 1. Now, here's where your heading 1, heading 2, and heading 3 come in. Heading 1 is here, Introduction, and then this is heading 2, and these are heading 3. And that is a wonderful thing. Now, this also has Update Table. So when I go through here, which I'm going to, and we change these comparisons between a traditional. Now, another thing for navigation, you know, I just hate searching for things. So I'm going to type in here comparisons, and it took me right there. Is that a beautiful thing or what? Now I want to change this heading 3 to heading 1. Ooh. Actually, that's very interesting. Very interesting that it didn't do that. It left comparisons out because comparisons was selected. But anyway, now if we do Control Home, we'll go up to the top, we'll scroll down here, and notice comparisons is right there. And when I click here and go Update Table, I'm going to update the entire, I just always update the entire table. There we go. Comparisons moved over to heading 1. So this is a beautiful thing. I used to have to manually type papers, and believe me, that was not fun. The next thing we're going to look at is creating an index. So you would look through here, and the kinds of things that you might want to create an index for are different topics. So 501 C3 C3. Let's hit, no, it does not like the way that that is. Let's go to 501. How about I do this? I found 501. I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to go back to References, Mark Entry, 501c3. I want all of them marked. Mark all, and it has marked all of them, and I'm going to close them. Now this is what it puts in as a symbol, and if we go back to the Home tab and we turn off our paragraph marks, we won't see that anymore. But do you see why I really like that? I like it because I know what has been done and what has not been done. Now, if we are going to create an index, we're generally going to put it between the body of the paper and the citation. So I'm going to do Control End, and I'm going to scroll up here, and I'm going to put in another page break. Control Enter, and then I'm going to put my cursor right in front of that. Go to References, and go to the Index group. Insert Index. And then it's going to ask me, now I can do it from a template, or I could choose Classic. Here it's actually in your exercise. It's going to have you choose Classic. Going to hit OK. And there it is. Now, if we had done 27 of them, there would be 27. And it would put, when you do mark all, it's going to put all of the ones that you have in there, and obviously you're going to have a lot more. So I'm going to go back up here though, and I'm going to make one more. Let's see, 401k, and I'm going to go to mark entry, 401k, and I'm going to say it's going to be a cross-reference, see something. Something would have had to have been selected anyway. Mark all. Close. So now when we go down here, well, let me see. That was not a good example. I'm going to do Control-Z. Now, a better example of that is I am going to do TSA right here, and I'm going to go to Mark Entry, TSA, and I want to mark all, close, tax sheltered annuity, mark entry, cross-reference, CTSA, mark, close. Now, let's go down to the end again, Control N, then I'm going to scroll up to this, and I'm going to right-click, update field, and now it put in TSA 5 and tax sheltered annuity CTSA. So that was my cross-reference. Now it says CTSA, and TSA is in there. And that concludes our overview of references and the review tab, so that you can collaborate with other people and that you can put your references in and create a very professional looking research paper.